Beginning with MDaemon 25.5, administrators can configure send as permissions for users to allow them to send email from another MDaemon account. As an MDaemon administrator, in MDaemon Remote Administration, you can configure send as permissions by navigating to the security menu as shown here, then click on Sender Authentication in the next level of navigation, and then select Send as Permissions. In the first blank, enter the account that is being granted send as permissions, or click on this blue button right here to select an existing account. In this case, I'm going to select my user.1@example.net account, and then we'll click OK. And then next we need to select which accounts this account will have permission to send as. So we'll click on this button here, select Send As Addresses, and I'm going to allow my user.1@example.net account to send email from peter.smith@example.net. So we'll check the box next to my peter.smith account, and then once again click OK. And then be sure to click on the Add button to add your new Send As permissions to the list below, as shown here. So now user.1@example.net has permission to send email on behalf of, or as, peter.smith@example.net. And then be sure and hit Save. Now before we talk about how end users can send email for another user, as an administrator, you can choose whether end users are allowed to edit the display name of the account that they are sending as. For this, we need to edit the domains.ini file, which is one of MDaemon's configuration files. For this, we'll select the Logs button at the top of MDaemon Remote Administration, then click on Configuration Files, and then we want to edit the domains.ini file located in the World Client directory. If we scroll all the way down, you'll find the domains.ini file located right here. So let's open up this file, and we're looking for a line labeled Allow Edit Alias Display Name. I'm just going to do a quick search, and this entry is located in two places in this file, one for global settings and one for per domain settings. So I'm going to make sure that both of them are set to yes. Here's the second entry, and if we scroll up slightly, we can see here that that entry is to enable these settings for the domain example.net. So now let's talk about how an end user can send as another user for whom they've been given permission to send as. In MDaemon Webmail, when using the Pro theme, before we actually talk about how an end user can send as another user, I want to show you how an end user can change the display name for each of the aliases that they've been given permission to send as. So to change those display names, the end user can navigate to the Options menu in MDaemon Webmail, select the Compose menu as shown here, and first of all, the end user can select the default from address from among the email addresses that the user has been granted permission to send as. Notice, for example, and again, I'm logged in as user.1@example.net, as you can see here at the upper right-hand corner. I can send as peter.smith@example.net, but I can also change the display name Peter Smith to something else, say for example something more specific. So if I click this button, Edit Alias Display Names, I can then modify this Peter Smith that corresponds with the petersmith.example.net address. We'll click on this Edit button right here, and then we'll enter user1 on behalf of peter.smith, and then click on the green checkbox to save your changes, and then we can simply close out the window. So now when composing an email to send on behalf of another user, simply select the gear icon in the upper right hand corner. Again, this is using the MDaemon Webmail Pro theme. And then in the From drop-down menu, we can select the Send As entry that we just created, user1 on behalf of Peter Smith. And then click on Close, and then you can continue to compose your message. Now as an MDaemon administrator, you may want to disable the Send As feature for all users. And for this, once again in MDaemon Remote Administration, under the Logs tab, under the Configuration Files secondary menu, we can edit the domains.ini file as shown here, and then under the Default User Defaults section, highlighted here, locate the entry Compose with Send As Addresses, which is located right here, and simply change this to No, and then be sure and hit Apply and save your changes.